the political dice.
It's
controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutsoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamwanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira nokuda political dice ku the alternative TikTok nange teditenjo ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take 2. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings. Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Hub Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 080090. You can also check up at Les Hub Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Hub, craft your own footprints.
Hi, welcome to the political dice.
It's
controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutsoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamwanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira nokuda political dice ku the alternative TikTok nange teditenjo ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Five minutes past the top of the hour of 7 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. We're coming to the end of May, and that means, of course, we are into the last week of this particular month. And of course, when we enter June, that means we are halfway this particular year. How time really flies. There are some goals that you set when you're starting this year. How far have you gone in achieving these particular goals? Because oftentimes when you're starting this every new year, we have pointers. We talk about the things that we shall be doing on, and of course some of you add in what they call KPIs, that when I start achieving these, I am sure that I'm on the right goal. So when you reflect back as an individual, as a company, as an organization, as just a Ugandan really, where are your goals? Where are you in achieving them? What are some of those hindrances that you are having in achieving these particular goals? And of course, you always have to find a way of solving these particular issues. So I hope you are on to that particular road of rediscovering, trying, retrying, and of course, in case there are mistakes made, you don't stop there, you continue and continue, because as they say, the soldiers tell us, saluta continua, that the struggle really continues until you've achieved what you set out to achieve in the very first place. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. The Hotline Show airs every Monday starting from 7 to 9 p.m. We touch base with things that are happening in the country, even globally, the continent. But we don't just talk about these issues, not really. No, we don't waste time coming to just lament. No, we're trying to paint a picture to Ugandans who may not know what is happening today, but also help to shape the future of this country. We believe that these conversations do not stop here. You can continue engaging, and even the stakeholders also listen to us. They watch what we do. And so oftentimes there will be an informed decision-making process at the end of the day. So the things we talk about, we hope that they will construct and they will mold Uganda to become a better country at the end of the day. Tonight, I'm joined by two gentlemen. One is Charles Kazooba. He is the Executive Director for the Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies, that is CAADS. And of course, he's always here trying to paint a picture for us what is happening in the country. And of course, we are joined by Mr. Retired Major Honorable Pollar Awich. He is the Director for External Affairs in the National Resistance Movement. One gentleman who's always here with us. It's not often every day that the NRM likes to feature on these panels, and I'm speaking this out of experience. Oftentimes, some people say they are busy, some people are trying to, maneuver their way around and not able to come through. But Pollar Awich Honorable is always here every Monday. Maybe when he's out of the country, that's when we get to miss him. So he's going to be talking to us. Honorable Joseph Ocheno is not here with us. Unfortunately, he has been constrained, but of course we continue as the duo. The country is looking relatively okay, peaceful. There has been a challenge of the high crime rate, which is one of the things we're going to touch base on today. But we are seeing police trying to curb some of the perpetrators of these crimes. We saw one gentleman who, kicked someone, he knocked him out really, and and their group robbed his bag and everything. And all of these things are really recorded on camera, which is even showing us the value of having cameras. So the police has already started that particular campaign or that particular operation of arresting these people who are carrying out these particular crimes. I think today, the police has aligned a group of 15 people who they have already, they've already arrested, and they say they're going to be charged for the things that they are doing. Some continue to be at large, but what is the solution? Can this be a lasting solution? What is even causing this high crime rate today? Why is it that people are resorting to thievery? Every day, every week, you'll find a video of someone who has tried to escape, someone who has tried to kill another person, someone who has robbed another. Why is it happening today? So we're going to be talking about that. Then, of course, the pilgrims are continuing their treks from various corners of this particular country, and of course outside the country. I saw some pilgrims from Nebi, I saw some pilgrims from Kabale. Literally everybody is trying to just walk as we remember the martyrs who lost their lives, and of course we shall be celebrating them. That is next Monday on 3rd June. We will be celebrating the Martyrs' Day of Uganda. So they continue to trek, and of course we continue to encourage you to keep on. I know sometimes it's very difficult and challenging, but you are there. Then, of course, NUP controversies continue to deepen. That is the National Unity Platform. We saw allegations last week that the National Unity Platform bodyguards of Kyagulanyi Robert Ssentamu beat up some journalists. One from NBS, we had another one from a certain radio station, Simba. And then we ask ourselves, but we are literally doing our job. And of course, what does this speak of the National Unity Platform? A party that is in waiting, the government in waiting, perpetrating violations against journalists for doing their work. Even in the past, we saw FDC doing the very same thing, beating journalists. What does this mean? What are you hiding that you don't want journalists to comment about? We shall be also hinting on that particular issue. And of course, the remuneration, population census has already come to an end. Some challenges have been cited out there, but the question is, has UBOS really done an exceptional job in counting Ugandans? How many are there so far? Last week when we were here on Monday, they had only counted 10.5 million Ugandans. Is the story different? How has it been? And of course, what do we think about it? I'll ask Charles, because he has been really very intentional about noting out this particular population census exercise. A lot of things. We have the CDF, that is none other than Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who doubles as the first son. He has been in the news. He welcomed his Rwandan counterpart the commander for the RPF. He was here, welcomed and even taken to dinner by Mohozi. And then also today, I think he also received another delegation from Czech Republic. It is something that you've not seen many CDFs welcoming people in that caliber. What is behind Mr. Mohozi's meetings with these particular individuals, I don't know, but of course I'm here to follow and see where this story will be going. Ladies and gentlemen, without any more wastage of time, maybe just to add in another story, the menstrual crisis continues to happen in Karamoja. The girls in Karamoja, there is need for menstrual hygiene equipment, things like sanitary towels, because that is one of the biggest reasons many of them miss school. And of course, in missing schools class, this is what happens. We find people dropping out of school, unplanned pregnancies and things like that. How do we help the people of Karamoja? I remember in 2015, the First Lady and Minister for Sports and Education, Janet Katawa Hamseveni, came out and promised sanitary towels to all students. But unfortunately, 9 years down the road, that promise has not yet been achieved by her. I hope as we continue to talk about it, she continues to remember the plight of the girls that are there. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. It's a privilege to have you on the show. Please send in some of your messages. I'll be reading them subsequently as we continue with the program. Today I'm going to start with you, Honorable Awich. Oftentimes I bring you last, but it doesn't mean that you're listing anyway, sir. It's always a privilege to have you. You're welcome to the Hotline Show.
Thank you so much, and thank you, my colleague. I don't take offense for being brought last. Actually, I like it because in most cases, like you hinted, many NRM cadres don't want to appear. Yeah. And even in many cases that we appear, you find people of a different opinion or trying to criticize in the government are many. So for me, if I come last, it's good for me because I will now get the chance to reply to what has been raised. So being last, to me, I don't take offense, and instead I find it as good. Now, but still on the question of our NRM people not appearing, I'm right now from Entebbe State House from a cabinet meeting. I was a special guest to the president, to the cabinet. So I was allowed, I was invited to attend. But the Prime Minister raised it. Can you imagine? Prime Minister raised that the media houses are complaining that our cadres don't appear. And therefore it even strengthened me to leave the meeting without finishing to come. Yeah, because in the era of free media or freedom of speech, the media houses are right to organize conversations. Now, if we don't appear, then the space is taken by those who appear. Exactly. I imagine if you're a cadre and you are confident of what you are talking without a bias of falsehood, or even with either prior knowledge that you have, either in your interaction or your schooling or profession, you should be able to discuss. And even if you have no answer, it doesn't offend to say, the matter you are raising, I have no answer, I'll get back to you.
NRM is just a difficult political party to defend, and government generally.
Not at all.
Because that's what you see, oftentimes you are on set with one individual, not yourself, but some gentlemen from the ruling party. And every time you go for a break, they will also agree with you, and he will tell you, wow. but when you come from the break, this person will say, hey, I'm defending government, it's okay. It is tedious a task to defend government.
Things are good and all right. As I said, it depends on a particular cadre exposition to the intricacies of society, his work experience where he has been, his professional career that he is, and his ability to discern truth from falsehood. If you have this as a cadre, even if you are woken up, in any case, NRM has so much achievement that you can account and even not finish. So I don't see why those cadres fear to come and talk. But the Prime Minister raised it, and that is why I left the meeting. I said, oh my God, I have a debate. Let me not be among the cadres who leave the debating space. Because if you leave it, then the others
they are winning.
Will take. So it is better to come and share. After all, as I said, we have lots of achievement to boast about.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Awich. Let me come to you, Charles. How are you? You're welcome to the interface. It's always a privilege to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you. I think the Prime Minister will be sacked.
Why?
You see, President Museveni doesn't believe in media.
Wow.
He doesn't. I've seen him also say that he does not believe in trying to brand that he is what he is. So he doesn't like PR, he doesn't like, he doesn't care what the media says. And that is him. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised when his people do not come and defend government in the media space. But one thing
but we have a whole ministry to do that. We have a Fono in the media center. We have director of information at the party headquarters.
Yes.
That should show that he's mindful about this, because he has institutionalized it in very institutional framework, and it costs money.
Some of those structures are there not because it's the president. No. It isn't. And you know it is true.
Why? He would scrap it. He would scrap it.
He wouldn't. But now, and which is a very big fact, the media can overthrow government. And you should tell him that the media can overthrow government. If the media is well oriented, organized, they can overthrow government. They have the power. That they can. They don't have to go to the bush. Yes. And the president has to know that.
I agree with you to some extent. I don't know about overthrowing government. What I know about the importance of a media is that it greatly shapes opinion. How, to what extent is the shaped opinion used? I don't know. But especially in the international community, if we choose to keep quiet as NRM and think our deeds will speak, no way. The foreigners will form opinion depending on what people are talking. So I still believe in the school of thought that it is not enough to say you have done good work, don't talk in the media. If you don't, they will shape opinion according to what people have talked.
The narrative.
Of course, I know that even in Western world, they believe that the media can make you a king or a dog. But also to some extent, they said no news is better than news. No news is good news.
Yes.
If nothing is talked about you, it is good, because bad news travel faster. So I just would like to agree with you that there's the importance of a media. It shapes opinion. If you think you're doing a right thing and you'll keep quiet, even the good thing you have done can be turned against you.
And that
so I believe in sharing the media, talking with people.
You're absolutely right. My issue is that the media in the country here, the role of agenda setting has gone away.
In what
Instead, it is the public that sets the agenda for the media to follow. It should have been the other way around.
It used to be that.
Now, when the media fails to set the agenda, then the media cannot even make government accountable. It can't, because you will not have the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
You become reactionary, just like government has been.
But also, let's talk about the issue of media being under attack. I'm going to give an example. First, you saw what happened in Masaka, journalists being beaten up by bodyguards, or what they call guards of Robert Chagulanyi Center. But even away from that, these guys in the media are targeted. They're targeted with positions. They're targeted with money, because you realize how many journalists are now speaking for government. You literally look at every spokesperson they have had an ounce of. We have Fono Pondo was in the media. You look at literally everybody. People who are speaking for Red Cross now, the John Cliff Wamalas, they have been reporting stories. So how do we balance us doing our work as journalists, but also surviving in such a time such as this one? Away from, if you're not harassed, you're actually bought, for lack of a better word.
No, you can't do anything about it. It will stay as it is, because President Museveni is a very clever man. He knew the role of the media as early as the 90s. And he knew how to handle the media through compromise. The media in Uganda cannot survive for long. That's why social media has taken over. Reason being, first of all, you're not paid. You imagine you've come from university with colleagues who are in medicine, in engineering. 5 years down the road, there's nothing that you can show. How do you feel? So if you're going to cover a politician in a massacre, and Mpuga says you have 200,000, of course you publish a story that is tilted in his favor. So that is a fact. That is the baseline. Almost 90% of the media space is owned by people in the government or people who are sympathizers of government.
Yes.
So how do you survive? You can't survive. There's nothing you can do about it. And that is the problem that we have as a country, because then the media cannot check society.
Yes.
You cannot, you become of the wrong in society. You don't stand up there. You don't have a moral high ground to be able to say that, look, you, President Museveni, that direction you are taking is wrong, and we are not going to support you. The Americans do it. The American media does it.
Yeah.
If they don't believe in what you are saying, they think you're a liar, you're a crook, they'll point it out. Here you can't. He who pays
the piper determines the
But
tune.
I also want to say is, you were saying that, especially when you mentioned about the joinder of recruitment to join government or companies, I don't know whether it also hinges on the training, the professional training. I would imagine, I haven't had a look at the course content, but I would imagine in a degree like mass communication from Makerere, I think you're trained both in reporting or public relations.
You major in the third year.
The third year. But I also imagine that since the training would expose you to both, therefore somebody who is doing a career would ideally, even if he supports or against government, still opt for the paying one, because that then the determinant is the money. Because these other big companies or organizations, KCCA, authorities, the Revenue Authority or Wildlife Authority, whatever it is, or Media Center, they would also want experience. So therefore these journalists, whether it's pro or anti-government, they are all vulnerable to such kind of recruitment. First by their training, and secondly by the monetary reward that goes with it. So I don't think we are going to get away from that. So it looks like it is everybody's, every journalist's vision to think that if I can gain a 5-year experience, then I'll get a job with the European Union,
isn't that
World
intentional?
Bank,
Because that's a question.
whatever it is.
Isn't, why in the past didn't we see journalists crossing in such a manner, in such a way of them really working towards that? Because we had the journalists like the Charles Onyango boss, they remained steadfast. Why is it that this today it's happening? In the past it didn't.
But I think also it could be, in my opinion, it is because the Charles Onyango Bo, in a way, were also recruited by big media houses like the Monitor, the Monitor. That was itself recruitment. but also that the phenomenon of the development of authorities and bodies that pay handsomely to their media persons is also a recent development. It wasn't so much in the past that you have this authority, this authority, this authority. So it's also a new development. So it's either way. The fact that these bodies which are now into fishing, and also these bodies, remember time has come with technology to a time when many companies are so mindful about their image. In the past, you'd pick one officer designated to handle. Okay? KCCA would pick one of the officers and say, now you will handle public relations. But no more. Because the relationship have become so complicated that you need a professional to manage. So those new developments also play in the recruitment of professional media people into such companies.
So where do we leave the fourth estate now? That is my question to you and to Ugandans who are watching us.
You see, first of all, the NRM government is violating international law, which provides for freedom of expression, freedom of speech. How? When you interfere with the work of the media, when you undermine the media, then the media cannot provide space for society to express their grievances objectively. Because the media is supposed to empower the public. Now, when you undermine the media, then the public cannot be ably empowered. They will not have sufficient information to make decisions. That's why we have a problem when it comes to elections. People vote relatives, friends, and money. They don't vote for ideas. Now, the problem goes back to government. Like I've told you, that is it was a deliberate move by the president, and in fact, if I met him, I would urge him out, and he knows that he did it deliberately. But you've said, who takes over the role? Now the role has been taken over by the public.
Yeah, the citizens themselves.
The sovereign.
Oh.
Yes, the people are the sovereign, not the president, not the government. The people are the sovereign. So they have taken back
their voice,
that power.
Okay. Let me ask you, just a minute. I want him to first also highlight on the issue of these journalists being beaten by opposition now.
Yes.
Because you point out President Museveni, but okay, yes, we have seen cases where they have been brought up and they have been beaten. But talk about these so-called opposition beating up journalists.
Yeah, now the issue, of course, like I've told you, the source is the government, and the source, I have to be very specific, the source is the president. Yes, not even the government. Because government, the people in government know how things should be, but it is deliberate by the president. Now, it goes back to this journalist who can't be paid. Where do you find a comfortable place? It is by you allying with your sources of information, because they will facilitate your work. They will provide some little money. Now, as you are reporting, as you are publishing your stories, remember there are people, for instance, opponents of this guy, who are watching, and they sense bias in you when you are handling your work. So the problem becomes yours, you as a journalist. And they will wait for you in the field. They will beat you up. Because then there is a thin line between you, the professional journalism, and the activism.
But so am I supposed to be neutral? Because let's ask a question. Am I supposed to be neutral in the face of injustice?
I have always argued that the day a journalist expresses his partisan support, that should be the day he stops practicing as a journalist. But I mean, you've seen it here. Somebody says I'm opposition, the person keeps reporting, even presiding over.
No, we even have journalists who are right now serving, but they are saying, Bidi Abidi Mukaga, 2026, I am coming.
You see,
so
New
when is
Vision
that
had a
person?
policy.
Yes, as you conclude, I bring in Honorable.
New Vision had a policy that the day you declare your intention to participate in politics is the day you get out. You stop working with them, go to your politics. So that your work is not attached to your politics.
Yeah.
Now, that is the problem. The journalists, first of all, have to be professional. But like I've told you, professionalism today it can't survive because of the conditions that journalists are working in. Now, you should know that when you go out there, people have been watching you and they know your side, or your NRM. Now, when it is NRM side, you say, oh, that is Nope guy.
We know him.
Beat him.
Okay, let me bring Honorable Awich.
Now, I have two things. One, on the beating of journalists by Noop.
Noop and FDC.
Noop and FDC. You see, there was a scenario where somebody was in the opposition and he was praising the press freedom, urging for press freedom. Then the next day he became a minister. And within a week, he had given 5 last warning to these careless reporters. Then people say,
Press freedom.
is this the guy who was yesterday talking of press freedom? Now today, he's a minister. Just within a month or so, a man has given last warning to these careless reporters. Now, the point I'm making here is you can judge somebody even before he gets to power. Because, and this is for Ugandans to judge, now that you mention FDC and NUP, if they're out of power and they're already beating journalists, suppose they come to power tomorrow, I leave the judgment to the public. But that is a very unfortunate thing. So you be warned. But
The
for us,
devil you know is better than the angel you met yesterday.
yes, yes. But for us, even during the struggle, our historical connection with the journalists was clear. Even after the very long years, we can still say we are not the worst. So, a warning that be careful if somebody is even not in power and is already beating you. If he comes to power, he will, within a week, he would have given 10 last warning. So that is my take on that. But the other one, what my colleague raises, I wanted to address it. He says NRM is violating international law by suppressing press freedom. I think that is an accusation that needs to be replied. You see, Uganda is a signatory to international laws, particularly, for example, a covenant on civil and political rights. And Uganda reports on this periodically to United Nations in the UN in Geneva, where I was. I was there for 8 years. And when the government of Uganda takes the report, it issues details of compliance of each provision. For example, the provision of mass media. How does Uganda show? First, it must show that it is guarded by law, which is under the Constitution.
Yes,
you need to take a photocopy of the provision or a copy of the Constitution to UN to know that you have guarded it in law. And then subsequent parliamentary legislations to show that it is there.
Which is true.
You even need to prove guidelines and rules that govern, and court decisions. And decisions, for example, in the case of Andrew Mwenda Munyangobo, where there was that thing, but the court ruled. So, I think, and then the practicalities, for example, do you have private TVs in your country? Do you have private radios in your country? Do people ring and talk on those TVs? Do people appear like we are appearing now? Do you have print media? Do people write opinions? So I think by far Uganda passes the test for non-violation of that provision under civil and political rights. It can demonstratively show to the world and to Ugandans that if the provision is Article 20 says freedom of the press, all institutional frameworks in Uganda and practices and institutions built show that Uganda passes by far the mark of a free press in this country. By far. Every town has FM stations. Everybody ring and talk and you abuse government. We have these talk shows where my colleague, the congressman, would say whatever he wants. I've met him any other place, and you go home and sleep. So, my friend,
But okay, let's
the
also-
test for a free
I
press,
have a rebuttal.
a test for a free press under the convention or under the covenant on civil and political rights can demonstrably be put to the world that Uganda passes the test.
No problem. That is true because whether Uganda,
That is true?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Uganda passes a lot of tests when it comes to the documentation.
No,
We
in
are
practice,
very
I've
good.
said about practice.
Because
I've
if I
talked
start
practice,
to-
including where we are now.
then
Including where
if
we are
have to
here
start
now.
Where we are, there's very some people, your government or the people who wear uniforms, the soldiers, came in and arrested 9 journalists from here.
Yeah, that is
Took
when there's,
equipment, took everything. Had
that
them,
is
they
when
took
there's
computers.
violations of the law.
And then we went to court. What is there? They are telling you that they don't have a case as
That is
government.
when there's
But
violation.
then it's okay. One question that I come to is this: the question of neutrality as media. These days, media is inclined to a certain perspective. You realize that some people have a certain agenda. We know that there are some media houses that have certain agendas, the other media houses that are pushing certain agendas. Do you think there's something that is that we could work on? Do you think we've matured as a people to say that this and this media house has this and this ideology and they stand for this and they should be telling stories such as these ones, or we need to go back to the roots? What do you think about that issue of neutrality?
No, ideally, media is supposed to be truthful and factual and maybe entertaining. Truthful, actually, to be truthful, to be factual, to be educative, and to be entertaining.
Yeah.
That is ideally the media. But of course, in the past, some historical context would show you that if you have a media which is, say, owned by the workers' party, for example, a newspaper which advocates for the workers, it will tend to report matters that favor the workers.
Yeah.
And if it is a Communist Party paper, for example, it would be reporting a Communist paper views. But even then, when it is supposed to be reporting as a Communist Party paper, it should only do it within the realm of truth and factual, not falsehood and misinformation. Because if it is reporting truth and fact from a communist point of view, and it is a communist newspaper, so let it be.
As long as it's factual.
As long
and
as it is factual.
there's evidence and
yes,
truth.
that is okay.
Okay.
So you would often have a communist newspaper report or a workers' newspaper farmers farmers papers.
What I pick from you is that we are supposed to be truthful, not neutral at the end of the day. Let me come to you, Charles. There's something you wanted to highlight.
In the last elections, there's a guy called Ashraf
Kassidia.
who was shot.
For those who don't know,
At-
Ashraf Kassidia is a journalist with Ghetto TV.
Allegedly by police. There's a journalist called Akena,
Yes.
Jimmy
Akena. Yeah.
I think he was one of the best photographers this country has ever had. That guy was literally obliterated.
How?
Because he even gave up on his profession
After that beating.
after the beating by military police.
And it's on record, the video is there.
I have read accounts of assault on journalists by security personnel especially in the last elections, and you'd ask yourself, are we in Uganda or this is just a movie? But what is the crime? The crime is basically because people are communicating. That is the crime. Now, and I want to really agree with him that people from NRM should learn to communicate, to counter what they call lies, rather than trying to suppress voices of ordinary people, because you can't stop anybody from talking. These are God-given rights. You can't take them away. The people don't need anybody's permission to talk. They don't, whether you're government or not. They do not need anybody's permission.
But has the media represented their voices well?
Now,
because it's also another misrepresentation on our side.
I have tackled this issue in a manner that I hope everybody understands. I've told you the environment is not favorable for the journalist. First of all, they can't be paid. This issue has even been handled with the Ministry of Information, with the UCC. They can't be paid.
That's true.
And who owns the media houses? People in government and their supporters. Why don't you pay these people?
No money.
So is it a crime to be a journalist? No.
Okay.
Even I'm told that Jesus was a journalist. By the way, even Museveni. Yes.
Museveni has been
He
many
was a
things.
writer.
So
In his first days, he was a writer, I think, from university.
okay.
So
as you conclude,
we must value the media so much, because today you are in government, you have the power. But what about when you go out of government? Who will speak for you? Because you'll have destroyed everybody.
and you realize that every time anybody goes away from government, they run to the media.
Exactly. So the media should be empowered to be professional. If you have a problem with what they have said, the media provides you space and a platform to counter. Come and give your side of the story.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
But it should be in the interest of each and every person in the world to empower the media.
Okay. You remind me of this former IGP, Kare Kaihura, after he came to the media and he's starting to say, can you please speak for me? Please, but let's move on to another issue. And I'm going to start with you, Charles. What is this that is behind Mohozi's meetings? He's meeting, the CDF of Rwanda. He's meeting delegations from various countries. You've seen him meeting ambassadors of different countries. What is that Ugandans are not seeing that we should see? Well, there's nothing really to see. As the CDF, he's meeting delegations from various countries. What is your read in that?
The president he has been handling quite a lot. And time has come that he trusts very few people around him, even within his family, by the way. So he has groomed somebody that he believes expresses his ideals and appreciates his values. When Mohozi, these campaigns started, I began to realize he had started taking over a role of foreign affairs. And foreign affairs is the most sensitive task that a president would assign anybody. We saw him repair, literally, repair relations between Uganda and Rwanda.
Yeah, he did it literally on his own.
We started having problems under President Kenyatta, our trade. They would stop our goods from going to
The milk
to Kenya.
and the eggs.
I saw him go there and meet Kenyatta.
Yes, at around that time.
He went to Somalia.
Mm.
That was before he even became CDF.
Even the trip to Sudan, you remember when the war had just broken out?
Yes.
It was Muhoozi who was sent there
Yeah.
to help evacuate Ugandans.
He has a very good relationship with the Egyptians.
I've seen him there before.
Now, when he became CDF, that task seems to have been empowered. I've even seen the diplomats from the Western countries go and meet him. I've seen so many dignitaries begin with him. You saw when the president of South Africa was here.
I was going to mention that.
He was part of the
Ramaphosa,
meeting.
yeah.
You remember, even before he being CDF, he went to Russia.
Yeah, and yeah. Russia
So,
and what's the other country?
And President
Serbia?
Museveni is slowly getting out of the aspect of foreign affairs, slowly. And his son is taking on that role.
What does that mean for Ugandan? President Museveni designating and saying, now Muhoozi, you go. Where does Muhoozi stand to gain? What does he stand to gain in these things?
Of
For
course,
Ugandan to understand.
it exposes him, like I've told you, being given an aspect of foreign affairs is not for everybody. It isn't. You remember that kind of thing used to be done by Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi. Yes, at one time I think, if I remember correctly, the president even gave him his own jet to go somewhere for talks. So
His own personal jet, Mr. Museveni's jet.
that is the kind of trust that the president had in Mama Mbabazi. Now you see that trust in Muhoozi. So before even we spread to talk about the presidential ambitions, let us begin with this aspect. It, first of all, to me, as a keen observer of politics, I'm seeing General Muhoozi become a serious power center in this country, that nobody should ignore him. He wields a lot of power. So there's that power center that has been carved out for him. Number two, I see him gradually support his father until retirement. So supporting his father means he'll take care of all issues that are in his father's path.
And his father is the president.
Yes.
But my question to you is, isn't this politicking? I want you to just paint a picture for me. Because an active person in the army, soldier, should not be politicking. If, as a journalist, should I consider this politicking or?
There are people who have argued that when somebody reaches the rank of general, that person is fit to carry on a country. So statements that are made by generals should be looked above just politicking. That is a small thing. These are serious things, because a general, the assumption is that he has gone through it all. He has seen it all. So when he makes statements, when he does things, then it should be taken seriously. And of course, you are right. Our law should be checked. But you see, we have a lot of contradictions in that law.
Okay.
You cannot allow military legislators in the parliament.
Parliament, yeah.
And you are saying soldiers should not be
in politics.
In politics, unless the argument is that you should not be partisan, but you can be political.
Okay. You're still watching the Hotline Show. My name is Govt. I'm still with Charles Kazooba. He's the Executive Director for the Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies, and of course, Honorable Major Retired Pollar Awich from the National Resistance Movement. He's the Director for External Affairs right there. Let me come to you, sir. My question is, in your times as a major, did you, the Mugisha Muntu, the CDFs at the time, the Nyarondas, did they wield such power? Power, yes, but also meeting such dignitaries and stakeholders such as these ones. What does this really mean for a soldier and a CDF?
Two questions. Did they wield that power? What does it mean as a soldier? Did they wield that power? Question one. Yes, they did. You see, by the time President Museveni decides to give you the mandate of CDF, he has trust in you as Commander-in-Chief. So he gives you all that mandate. So any CDF wields power, even the previous one. The only thing is that it is differentiated by time, or the timing in which you were in that office, and also the stage of development of society at that time. The timing, for example, if you're a CDF in times of war, definitely your visibility will be different. It's like, you know, sometimes you have a goalie is injured, or somebody gets a red card, and then a goalie, somebody is taken to be a goalie. It's a sign, a time to showcase. So it is just by chance. So much as all CDFs are trusted by the Commander-in-Chief and they are given that, it depends on the timing. There are some times when the global dynamics warrants a lot of such meetings. And I think this is one of the time. This is one of the time when the world is struggling. Are we unipolar or multipolar? So everybody's trying to realign. So there's what you call shuttle diplomacy. So many people are meeting this, and the world is moving around. So it also depends on the time. And also it depends on the personal initiative or method of work of a particular CDF. Some CDF, like Aronda, for example, with a lot of background in intelligence, would prefer to be a quiet operator. He was doing a lot of things, but you may not see.
Shadows.
Yeah, you may not see in the media. Because sometimes what we do today is shaped by our background.
That's very true.
Yeah, if you have, say, a CDF who was a chief political commissar, like, let's say, Kale Kayura. Kale Kayura was a chief political commissar, which is basically a public person. If Kayura was CDF, possibly would see more in the public than even currently Muhoozi.
Actual work.
Or currently than Muhoozi.
Yeah.
So, therefore, I just like to share that a CDF is a person trusted and appointed by the Commander-in-Chief and is given equal power like any other. But his visibility is determined by the timing in which he came to office and by the challenges at the moment, but also by his personal methods of work. And methods of work is either dictated by your professional training, or if you're a lawyer, you tend to be biased in a legalistic way, or even by the experience in the job, how you came up. If you came up through intelligence, you may want to do something more quiet. If you were a CDF who came through non-intelligence, like political commissar or otherwise, then you are most likely going to be more open in your work. So when you're open in your work, people may think like you are doing more than your other friends. Then your
So
other
this is the style of Mr. Muhoozi.
Yes.
That is the way he's handling things.
Yes.
But one would say, are you different from the Mbadis? Because the person
I
will
have
say,
already answered that.
because okay, I understand your answer again, but then it's only after my chicken is lost that you have feathers in your rubbish. Is this really a coincidence that it's a modus operandi to meet diplomatic people?
I can assure you, if a CDF who had a background of a political commissioner like Kale Kayura, I believe you'd be seeing him more in the public than even Kaina Rugawa. So that is my explanation about a CDF. The other question is about
what does this really mean?
I think you're
going
trying
to answer that question when we come back from the break. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. 2 minutes to the top of the hour. When we come back from that short commercial break, we talk about that particular issue. What does this mean for Ugandans, and of course for them as the NRM? And we shall also metamorphose into the next topic of discussion, which is the increase in criminality. What is the CDF and his team doing about this increase in criminality in the country? That and much more comes after this short commercial break.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empishi ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Purely political.
well researched,
Accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayugayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe baabuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besigye aleese amaanyi.
Olwo fadda bafutsoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwo jeema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba anti bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri mbali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Yali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamba mpanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira no kuda Political Dice ku the Alternative Dig Talk nange Teddy Tenja ewamune
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Hub Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices, and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Hub Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Hub, craft your own footprints.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
empishi y'ebyobufuzi
It's controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
ya state house oba ghetto,
Ani ayugayuga ku ground.
ani gwe baabuze
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
olwo fadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
olwo jeema
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja olwo baba ate bange bali kuki
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
ani oyo oba
Ye ali kuki?
oyo tumuleketa gamba anyiga mangu
Ebyo byonna birindira n'oku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Digital nange Teddy Tenja ewamu ne
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
esawa 2.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704 11 1720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings. Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Hub Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices, and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Hub Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Hub, craft your own footprints.
But at the church, though,
Tawali man, what's up?
man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, Bikola. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. 6 minutes past 8 p.m. We're into the second and final hour of this particular show. I'm still with Mr. Charles Kazooba, the Executive Director for the Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies, CAADS, and of course, Honorable Retired Major Pollar, which he is the Director for External Affairs at the National Resistance Movement. When by the time we went for a break, Honorable, you're still talking about what this means for a Ugandan. on your side?
I think I was listening to Charles' presentation or submission that general, once you become a general, then you're qualified to hold the country. And I think his argument was that any comments or talk or behavior from a general, therefore, is above politics. But I think what you wanted to query, and he also hinted on it, was the provision in the law as to the political position of an officer, or whether it absorbs the general. I think all serving, the law provides for serving officers, irrespective of their rank. Whether a general or not, irrespective of the rank, you are supposed to be not involved in active politics or partisan politics. And I think that what Moses is doing does not amount to being involved in partisan politics. In fact, if anything, my understanding is that since he became CDF, he even moved farther away from politics. And it's seen by deeds, he has moved away. So the meeting of the diplomats and the meeting of other delegations are normally in line with with army activities. For example, as a CDF, you carry nearly the entire work of logistics, because under CDF there are chiefs, and one of the chiefs is chief of logistics and engineering. So it is not surprising that a CDF would meet a delegation and scout out what is in their market and what is what they can offer. He can choose to meet them with his chief of logistics, or he can choose to meet them alone and write a brief to, or write notes to the chief of logistics for follow-up or for operationalization. But also for strategic reasons. He can choose to meet these other leaders for strategic reasons. Because as a CDF, you're at a strategic level. So before you come to plan in the war room, you need to interface and talk to people in political issues. Because after all, what transfers in the war room, the war planning, is what is actually picked from the political arena. So I would imagine that Moses meeting foreigners is in those lines for strategic reasons as a CDF, but also for logistical and commercial purposes.
Let me put you on the spot, sir. I've not asked you this before. Many people have an idea that President Museveni is bringing his son as president. What is your take on this monarchical system where a president can bestow his position to his son? If everything you're saying may be true, but if there is a plan to make Muhoozi the next president of this country, you as Pollar Awich, a Kadogo who has served this country and brought it to where it is, who has served it for the next, 38 years in power, you have served him. What do you think about the appointment of the president's son as president?
And I think President Museveni has answered this himself. President Museveni has always referred that Uganda has its legal framework, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and if you say you want to come through a party, and there's also that party constitution. So without giving my view, and as a director in the party, I have a right to quote my party chairman, incidental, the one you're talking about.
Yes.
President Museveni, as a party chairman, has always said, when this subject matter comes up, he has always said that nobody should be worried about who comes after him, because the laws are clear, there are provisions for who should come. And therefore, it means, therefore, if you interpret it, is that if Muhoozi, like any other citizen, comes up, he will definitely have to be following the legal framework of the country as the Constitution stipulates. And for us in NRM, if a candidate like now, any soldier chooses to come, like I am in NRM, one of the conditions, of course, you have to have retired, and then you must meet, in the constitutional provision, it says you must meet the legal requirement in the national constitution, meaning academic, whatever, age and all that. So it is my answer to your question is that I can't read more than what the president has provided in his answer. And his answer has also said, Uganda is not a monarchy. He has always said that the constitution is clear, the law is clear. People should wait and see events unfolding itself.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me come to you, Charles, and we move on to the next issue. The issue of the criminality, and it's rising by the day. And the only things we see, by the way, Charles, those are just a few videos, because now there are many instances that happen that are not caught on camera. Where do you think this particular issue of criminality, the outrageous murders, where is it stemming from, really? Just to paint a picture for Uganda.
First of all, I would wish to condemn police for, if they're the ones sharing those video clips, for doing it.
To condemn police?
I'm condemning police if they're the ones that have been sharing those video clips.
Okay.
Do you know how terrorists operate?
How do they?
They use the media to show their actions. That sends terror within society. People live in fear. But they also use the same method for recruitment.
I thought you're whistleblowing when you do that.
It is terrible. Let me tell you, you don't have to show the video because it sends fear within society.
Okay.
But also, it opens eyes for these people, the young people, that have nothing to do. Say, but if that young man, I've seen a video of some young man who kicked the
very young man.
Yes. So if they are age mates,
He kicked who?
there's a gentleman who was kicked at Benchwanuka Street and robbed. Now, others can copy the same. So it becomes a motivation for recruitment into criminal gangs. So that is bad. I've not yet expressed it to police, but I think it is.
I don't think it's
wrong.
police that is actually publishing those videos.
And those government CCTV cameras?
No, some people have CCTV cameras.
No, what I'm saying. And by that actually takes me to what you are raising.
Yeah.
Number one, all buildings should have CCTV cameras. It should be mandatory for all buildings, especially in Kampala, to have CCTV cameras. But those CCTV cameras, their video feed should be linked to the enforcement surveillance system, because government cannot be everywhere. But the houses can have CCTVs, and the video feed is linked to the government surveillance system, so that it becomes easier to catch criminals. However, showing around how these thugs are terrorizing people is not good. That action itself terrorizes society.
Maybe you're perceiving it as terrorizing. Someone is saying they're whistleblowing.
I'm telling you
police,
what
my problem. We have a problem.
I'm telling you what I already feel myself.
Please do.
For the last 2 days,
Assuming you are a
I'm
coward.
unsettled.
Suppose you're a
Because of
coward.
the video, I saw 2 border guys that came following another border. The guy that was hit, and I think he died. I don't know. I've been unsettled by that. That is terrorism itself. So police, the enforcement, should stop sharing those video clips. They have the capacity to apprehend the criminals. Let them do that. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Yes. It is like if somebody was caught raping a woman and you put that video clip in the public, how do you think it would affect women?
But why at this time? Why is it that we are seeing all this criminality now?
Now, it is not
It
that
has been there, but today
it is not that we are seeing it now.
Mm.
What we are seeing is that the installation of CCTV cameras is now highlighting the criminal activity that has been going on for some time. By the way, I believe it has reduced. In my opinion, it has gone down, especially the violent crime, that violent attack on people. The days of General Kalekiyoga, it was in the roof. There were several gangs. There was a gang called, is it B14?
B14, yeah.
There was that of
Sobi. Yeah, Sobi.
There was that of the several young people who would move like a
crew? They call them Happy Street, that's why they used to call them.
So the gangs were so many. We had the gang of Chitata itself.
Oh, it was a gang.
It was a gang, of course. What did you call it? It was a gang. Now, there were so many. I think when General Kalekiyoga left office, those gangs, of course, were relating with the security apparatus. They were not surviving on their own. It seems.
Do you know what you're saying, sir? You're saying it easily, but do you know the magnitude of what you're saying here? That the police is one, and we've had Sobi come out to say these things also before he died.
Haven't you seen these gangsters on camera?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That allege they have been working with police. Haven't you seen them?
They did. Sobi did.
Exactly.
He even mentioned the president himself.
I've seen the guy who used to head that B14. Is called, is it Snake? He's somewhere. He said he retired. He's now digging. He has been interviewed saying the same, that they actually used to work in collaboration with police operatives.
That's very true.
Now, I think when General Kalekiyoga left, the link was cut off. The link was cut off, and most of those criminals had no access to Ochola. Now, most of them, I think, have either gone underground or they have been put in a prison somewhere. But now we are seeing this new wave after COVID. After COVID, first of all, you have around 1 million border borders. 1 million border borders that you have not profiled. Do you know that of that figure, about 90% have not undergone traffic testing? So whoever can sit on a motorcycle becomes a border cyclist.
Because of the unemployment.
Yes, but what I'm saying, they have not been trained.
That's true.
I've seen statistics show that of the 10 accidents in Kampala, 8 are caused by border.
Very true.
So it is because of that lack of training. Now, you have not profiled them. You don't know who they are, what they do.
They tried to profile them, and it was your technocrats, the politicians, the politicians who came out to say this is impractical. You shouldn't, be regulating border. Everybody needs to be in part of the border.
What you are saying is that there is no government in charge. That is what your argument says. That is what your argument speaks to. But if there is a government in charge, there is no way you can say somebody cannot be documented. Haven't we registered for national IDs?
We have.
Hasn't you both counted us? So it is not that the citizens are not willing to abide by government regulations. Okay. It is not true. But it is government incompetence. So you now also have a growing urbanization. There are lots of young people who come to the city, either to visit relatives, they don't go back. Those that come to study, they don't go back. They all stay here. There is an estimate that shows that by 2040, we might have around 10 million people living in Kampala, small as it is. Now, if even the few that are in Kampala don't have jobs, so 10 million, what will happen in that situation? There is a congestion. People are living in ghettos.
Of course, that's where the formation of ghettos comes from.
Yes, but also there is also a huge section of the population that is not accounted for, the homeless.
The street people?
Live alone, the street children. Matthew, where do you live? In Kampala, there's a big section of the population that have no homes.
Yeah.
Eh? So you can't account for where they stay. They also can't account for their actions at any one moment. They are either sleeping in a bus today, or they will sleep in somebody's shop, or they will sleep in a bus. That population, authorities have never tried to cater for them. Then you have the street children, those from Karamoja. All those are fertile recruitment sources for crime. Now, what is government policy?
Let me start from there, because I want to first bring in Honorable Awich. Honorable Awich, he mentions a lot of things, starting from the issue of government working with these villains, and it has actually been on record. I think you've heard of it, or you've never. But if you haven't, these people have come out to actually speak that we've worked with government openly, and they've mentioned even the names of the president. He also points out something pertinent. Honorable, there are people who are homeless in this country, and I can bear witness to that, especially even some of our females. You find females who will always look for a night where they're going to fall. So anybody who picks this person is the one who spend the night with them. To what extent do you think these issues this gentleman mentions contribute to this crisis that we are having as a country today? Is it actually a crisis, sir?
Well, I guess the crisis you're talking about is crime crisis.
Crime, yes, that's what I mean.
Yes. A crime, of course, as we know, is an act that is contrary to law, and it offends the rights as protected by the state. And that is when somebody is charged of a crime, it is always Uganda versus
that person.
Yeah, it is an act as opposed to a civil act like you have my mabanja. If you have my mabanja, that is a civil wrong which is not a crime.
Yes, sir.
So a crime has existed for long. There are some ideal society where they think there's no crime, but it's very difficult. Even a country like Liechtenstein, which is the richest country in Europe, is between Switzerland and Germany. They speak German. They're the richest. Even German doctors run there for Chieyo, and they're only 37,000. Do you know that even Liechtenstein there's a crime? To the extent that the only difference with them is that they don't have a prison. They have a prison in Austria. So when their courts of law convict you, they rent a prison in Austria. And the good thing with them is that if you're a relative of a convict, the state gives you a ticket to visit your person in Austria in prison. But I'm trying to just say that it is difficult to control a crime in a society. Some countries are ranked according to crime rate. And you will find that a country like Uganda is relatively lower compared, say, to South Africa. The crime rate in South Africa, which even includes death, is much higher. And some in Latin America, and of course in the United States. So countries, if you even check on Google, you can have ranking, crime rate ranking, and you will find that we are better. But that is not to say we don't address ours. And many schools of thought range for the kind of sources of crime or why crimes happen. Like in Uganda, for example, or some people will say it is unemployment, or some people would even generalize it like poverty, which could be true, that if somebody has nothing to eat, he will beg. If he can't beg anymore, he will use any other force. But also there are some situations where some people who are involved in crimes are actually well off. And this now takes me to organized crime the way it is. I like to mention that school of thinking that some are connected to the state. I think some operatives had thought that to penetrate the criminals, use one of them. So that was a method of work by some operatives, either the IGP or some investigative bodies. They thought that to penetrate them, get one of them, use them. Or some actually even thought that to counter them, use another. But that is, to me, in my opinion, is a risk, because if you're going to fight a criminal gang using another criminal gang, in a way the state would be abdicating from its role. The role of the police and the state is to the state through the police is to maintain law and order.
Yes, sir.
Is to be sure that everybody who's walking on the road walks in peace. Those who are dancing in disco, dance in peace. Those who are praying in church, pray in peace. Those who are in the garden, dig in wherever. That is the role of police, to maintain law and order. Now, if there is a criminal gang, instead of cracking and you think you organize another criminal gang, I think that is why recently one notorious one was killed in around Sembambule, a gang killing a gang. But that is not a good path, in my opinion, to go, because you kind of risk anarchy. And it happens in some countries in Latin America where you find real gang rules.
Yeah.
Gang rules. I do not think that is the line President Museveni would like to take. And that is why when there was a time when it was so visible, General Kayanja was deployed in Wembley, Operation Wembley, and Wembley did a hard cracking. So I don't think if there is at a lower level a tendency to think that you will use a gang to penetrate a gang or a gang to fight a gang, I don't think that would be in the opinion of President Museveni. Museveni would have wanted the state to be in control of the affairs. Sometimes even near Kenya here, there's a time when schools are closed in Kenya. Schools are closed because of some non-state actors. Really? Yeah. Schools closed. About 15 schools were closed in a whole region.
But do you
when there are gangs.
But do you want to say these are gangs? Because we have had precedents in the past where security operatives have been involved in such cases.
That's what we're saying, that if a security operative thinks that they are going to use a gang to fight a gang, or they have formed their gang, that is unfortunate, because it leads to anarchy. A strong state should be a state which governs the entire territory of Uganda, from Arua to Kotidu to Tororo to Kisoro and everything. And I think that is the view of President Museveni. And of course, we have always been jokingly wondering at our colleagues in DRC, where you find some part of the country you don't even either local authority like LCs, you don't even have police there, no courts. It is in the form opinion of President Museveni that the state should be felt everywhere, with the police to arrest and prosecution taking place. So, but all in all, there are so many theories abound about the why crimes exist. Some, as I said, say it is unemployment. Some say it is poverty. Some say whatever reasons that they give, but it's unfortunate.
Have we done enough as government, as security operatives, to try to curb on these criminalities that are continuing? In your own perspective, how do you think the police has handled this?
We have done that. Like, for example, one way of curbing is the provision of education, to make sure that the best place for a child to be is in school. And here I'm talking a child means anybody below 18. Okay? I try to be so particular about my word or my usage of word. A child is anybody below 18. Meaning, therefore, that the juveniles who are most likely to be involved in crime at 17, 16 there should be in school. That is the first thing. And then coming down. Then the other thing is that government tries to involve by poverty, social involvement like poverty alleviation, Paris development, this economic interventions.
But are we intentional,
yes.
honorable? Honestly.
Yes, it is, these economic interventions. Then the other part is that by security measures, you know that internal security organization, for example, deploys, I don't know up to what level. There's a DISO, there's a
PISO, there's a GISO.
And then it goes down. Those are all attempts to do that. And even police, they zone up there, they zone their areas. Police CAADS zone the area, they know you're in charge of this zone, you're in charge of this zone. So,
are they sleeping on the job? It feels like they're sleeping on the job, really.
They may not be sleeping on the job as such, but the intricacy of society keeps developing. And that is why you will find that a crime in a developed country like USA is more complex than a crime here. So crimes also evolve depending on the timing. For example, where you have mobile phones, the crime also changes by the fact that, first of all, cyber crime would have come. And yet before that technology, there was been no cyber crime. But also the networking of criminals. They also use the technology to, for example, it is easier now to monitor somebody exiting a bank that you think is carrying money, to ring to your friends, tell the telephone number, and do that. So crimes also evolve with the development of society and technology.
That's true.
And that is why, as I said, crime system in a more developed country is even more sophisticated. So it is not sleeping on a job as such, but the sophistication. And that is why even security agencies have to do regular training, regular monitoring and regular training, because new sophistication of crimes do evolve. And therefore you have to keep up to the task. And the increase of population also, it brings the sophistication. The more the people, the more the challenges. And that means you have to penetrate deeper.
You mentioned the development of slums, what they call ghettos in this part of the world. What do you think about this? Because oftentimes slums come from a place of people who are poor but trying to look for bases to go to their workplaces during the day. To what extent do you think these slums or development of slums has contributed to this?
Of course, a slum has a big population of people and it is fertile for everything. For example, you could also find a slum with so many born-again Christians who are preaching and they have built a church and all that, and they are there. You could find them, they are there. But also because Islam by itself, because it is cheap accommodation, you can get a cheap room. It therefore means that it accommodates people of low economic status,
yes, sir.
People of low income or no income at all. And therefore that's why by necessity you are most likely to find many people who are crime related, many people who are in conflict with the law, or those who will sooner or later be in conflict with the law because their income is low and they are looking for it. But at the same time, some people, as I put about Christianity, some people find that there's peace in the Lord. If you're poor, you don't have money, you can even get saved more because you think Jesus or God will save you. So, but I think the likelihood is that you will get more of crime-related people than born again, because those who have tried to think you'll get your economic needs by spiritual intervention, sooner or later will find that the spiritual intervention will not provide you food. And once the spiritual intervention doesn't provide you food, you'll take into the materiality of getting it that way. So if you put in percentage form, you may easily get 30% getting saved people in such an environment and 70% on the crime-related side.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Honorable Awich, there is a way he I don't know if because he's a lawyer, he will tell you statements and you look for a way of disagreeing with him, and you know there is a problem, but you
It's just the truth. Please agree with me. It's just the truth. Just agree with me.
Charles,
Just agree with me. It is the
Charles,
truth.
my question to you: do you think the people who are supposed to handle this thing have handled it in a way that is really assuring to Ugandans and to yourself as an individual? Then also you talked about policy. How does our policy shape or break such criminality?
You see, you are assuming that law enforcement operates independently. To be objective. Of course they are not. And that is the biggest problem that we have as a country, because we have partisan force for law enforcement. Politics tends to blind them, and some of the operatives cannot objectively execute their duties because of politics. So it is a big war that can't be solved today, and I'm 7, you know. There are things I've written even in my book which cannot be solved under President Museveni. So let's wait for him, then we shall handle these issues when he has gone. Now, we also have bad policies that have deprived of the young people of their livelihoods. Owino was banned severally. People lost their capital. Some actually went abroad to Dubai to do some cheyo. Some retreated to Hawking. Those are arrested by KCCA, sent to Ruziga. Now when they reach Ruziga, they're in contact with hardcore criminals who recruit them. That becomes a problem for the state. And we start blaming the criminals. Not that I'm defending them, but I'm showing you how government creates criminals.
These criminals themselves.
Both directly and indirectly. Directly, I've told you, they use them. But also indirectly, the policies, the bad policies, end up creating these criminals. Now, in the country, I've looked at the report. Our criminals are graduating. Police in the 2023 report said that they were attacked. In 32 cases, they were attacked, and their guns were stolen by criminals. 38 guns were taken. So some police says that when they deployed the sting operations, Magam of CID, they recovered 30 and arrested about 10 people whom they found to be associating with ADF. You see what I'm telling you? Somebody started by stealing a phone because he is looking for survival.
Yes, sir.
Now, as a state, you don't go into that person's head, in his mind, to understand him. You instead throw him to Ruziga Wichitaria. The guy is radicalized.
From there.
He comes out of prison even more stronger, saying,
I thought they are there for reforming,
I thought there was money in the phones. There is no money. Now we are going to attack people in taxis with the guns. So the guy is graduating. You find that guy graduating into drug trafficking, terrorism, human trafficking, human organ trafficking, because the state has directly radicalized the man. Now we must differentiate when it comes to punishing crime. This colonial mentality, we must get it out of our heads. There are people that can be reformed. Why take those people to prison?
Because that's the place for reform.
Yes, but the person you are taking to Ruzira is getting in contact with an ADF operative who has been in Congo for 20 years. What do you expect? That this person will eventually be recruited. Because even as he gets out of prison, he can't be employed because there is no job. He will also be discarded from the family. You know, there are families who don't tolerate even petty crime.
And we are conservative people as Ugandans,
Now,
really.
we should stop behaving as the colonialists, the way they used to behave. We should understand that we are dealing with human beings who have challenges, personal challenges. So there are people that you can arrest, but also help to reform. You rehabilitate them so that they become assets to society. You don't throw them away totally out of society. Now that is a big problem for the state to think like that.
Okay. To what extent do we own it as a people? Because what you're saying, Charles, is all the reasons you're pointing out are reasons outside what you may call your control as an individual. But these people are individuals, they're mature adults. To what extent do we own it? Do they have to own this problem and say, it is me? Like, to what extent are they to blame as the individual? Rather than all, because there are many people who have gone to those prisons, many people who are broke and poor, but they have stayed steadfast to their line, to their virtues. To what extent do we have to blame these individuals, these young people especially? And why the young people? These kids are doing this between what, 15, 16
Today
years, 17?
I was chatting with somebody over the same matter. So this person, when I told her that somebody can come and steal your motorcycle, this person said, that person should be killed immediately. So I asked her, what about the person who steals 10 billion taxpayer money? What do you do to that person? Do you bomb him? What do you do?
We call him smart.
Because this guy, the one who commits white-collar crime, by the way, we are not seeing it even as a crime. Can you imagine? But they are the worst criminals on earth. Because when they steal that money is meant for public services.
Yes, sir.
When there is no service delivery, we get criminals, the petty criminals, and we tend to demonize them. That is how crime was designed by the colonialists, by the white person. That you demonize this petty criminal, you don't look at this white-collar guy. And that police is there to protect the rich from the poor. So we must redesign crime. The person who has stolen 500 million, 1 billion, that should be the first person to go to Chitagi. This petty crime, probably this guy was looking for survival. I have told you, a huge section of people in Kampala don't have where to sleep. They don't have homes. They're sleeping in bars. They're sleeping in people's shops. They're sleeping in taxi park, in taxis. Does government care about them? So why should we first focus on these petty criminals?
We go for the big fish.
Major Awich might be aware. Some years ago, the United Nations started thinking the way I'm explaining. And they came up with a concept called human security. That there are other things that really are a threat to a human being, which are not looked at in the eyes of the state. So those are the things that also government should begin tackling. Employment. How do you care for people, for human beings? Let's stop demonizing human beings. Let's first understand their challenges. Let's get into their heads to be able to solve the problems.
Prevention rather than actually curing the
But this business of hit him, let him die. There was a person who was killed during COVID, stealing a portion for his children. I said, how could he steal that? What about the person in the parliament stealing lots of taxpayers' money?
So unequitable, arrest and prosecution. Let me come to you, sir. What do you think of the statements that are made by Charles?
Well, Charles seems to think that either the state or the society is giving priorities or not treating crimes the same, or even thinks that when you treat them the same, that is not fair. He thinks one should be ranked higher, especially economic crime of billions. I get the pain that he gets. I get also the pain. I don't see why he should steal government money, should be penalized seriously. But I don't think we need to reach a situation of comparing. For example, as you're talking, I was thinking of a background of a criminal. Does it matter where this criminal is coming from? For example, does it matter that his economic status, he was poor? Of course, in prosecution, the judge can be lenient. Many judges have been lenient in prosecuting. When a judge finds that, or a judicial officer finds that indeed the accused wanted it for eating. Judicial officers have been lenient. Instead of 5 years, says I'm giving you 1 year or so. And it states that I'm being lenient because evidence adduced to court is that you were going to eat. But I wanted to say that I was involved in a case of Dominic Ongwen. And by the way, I'm an expert of ICC. I go to ICC and give my expert opinion when there are matters. So I gave my expert opinion on Ongwen for 2 days.
They said his history, I think.
Yes.
He was a...
So they said Ongwen had been captured by rebels at 11 years.
Yes.
And therefore, I was on the side of the defense. I gave my expert opinion to defend him, to say, since he had grown up in the jungle, he did not have that sense of ability to decide wrong and right. But also I felt that line was not as strong. But I also said he was under the command, a superior command, and therefore most of his actions were that. The prosecution argued vehemently, and the holding in Ongwen was that even if you're a child, even if you grew up in the forest, every human being of adult mind, because the ICC said we are not talking about this crime when it was 17 years and
364 days.
Yes, 9 months. We always take, 1 year to, yes. So the ICC said we are not talking of his crime when he was 17 years, 364
days.
We are talking of crime when he was above 18. So it's immaterial where they grew up in the jungle. A human being should have the ability to know right and wrong, regardless of your background. And they said that why, when somebody is going to steal a mango, he looks left and right, is because somebody in his heart is telling him it is wrong. He doesn't need to know that section 15 prohibits stealing. Okay? So that's why they emphasize ignorance of law is no defense. Because by the time you are stealing, you didn't need to know a section of the law. By the time you're going for a mango, and something in you said, look left, look right, if they're seeing you, it means you know it. So, I just want to illustrate a point that we are not going to start ranking and giving excuses. I think we tend to do this because we already fed up by continuous reporting occurrences of public officers stealing billions, which is a very, very bad thing. But we wouldn't engage into this, into comparison and hierarchy. Now, if it is, and judicial practices have shown that judicial officers don't come from planet Mars or Jupiter. Many judicial officers have been seen to be lenient, and he said, for example, after a sentencing, they ask you before conviction, they ask the accused, what do you have to say? And then the accused can say, my lord, or your worship, depending on which judicial officer. I told this Kawunga because I was angry. And then the discretion is on the judicial officers to say, okay, you have convinced, the facts before court is that really you were angry. And therefore I would have given you 5 years, so I'm giving you. But I think we should leave this to judicial officer. If we were to combat crimes as an issue in society, we should take crimes as crimes, and they are bad. We of course, it does not stop us from emphasizing, especially public crimes, crimes that is against the public, crimes that deprive a group of people their livelihood, than a particular crime that can offend one person, either by assaulting, breaking the head, or by a theft of removing a property.
Also just add a comment on the issue that most of these people are arrested, but they're even let go, even after a few days. Some not even charged, not even prosecuted.
Which one? Which one?
Like the people who do these perpetrations, the thieves, the petty, you know, those who petty things. They are taken and they are released. And also, as you conclude, what should the citizen do? What should you people as government do?
Oh, there are a lot that the citizen do. For example, during Amin's regime, Amin came up with, I think, a decree that a thief should be killed on sight. That was what the public was expected. But this was really contrary to the rule of somebody's innocent till proved guilty. And many people were killed. Some people would suspect somebody to be in love with his wife. He would trick him, kill him, and tie a goat that he was found stealing a goat. Or break some maize kasole.
For malicious intent.
And put kasole on his body and said this man was found stealing a kasole. So many people lost their lives like that. So that was then the expectation from the public. I think the expectation from the public now is that jointly with the state, we should ensure that preventive measures are in place. And preventive measures are in, what are the economic interventions by society? In terms of employment, in terms of poverty eradication agreement, in terms of economic interventions like PDR, whatever, in terms of sending children to school. The best way to prevent crime is preventive. So that is number one in prevention, and it calls all stakeholders. The second thing is, of course, vigilancy. To be vigilant about seeing who moves around and possibility of reporting. And then the third thing is, by the state agents, to be serious with their criminal procedures, like you're saying, arresting and releasing. We know that these are not crimes that warrants beyond 48 days. I mean 48 hours before they get born. But even then, that most of these crimes are really prima facie. It was either caught stealing. This, you know, it is evidence. So I don't even see why they should waste court's time by what and unnecessary litigation. They should be convicted. And then we leave it to the judicial officer. If he was caught stealing because of anger, let it be the work of the judicial officer. So they should not waste time. And then I want the vigilance, and then of course the courts to do their work.
Let me come to you, Charles, in a minute or two. What are your parting shots, but also what do we do about this situation as a people, then as a government that you really don't have a lot of trust in solving this particular issue?
You see, when you listen to Awich talk, then you also interact with people in the ghetto you realize that they are worlds apart. They make arguments depending on their orientation. But my argument is, I want the way the police hurriedly arrests this person that has pickpocketed a stranger on the street is the same way police should hurry to arrest this man that has stolen the taxpayers' money. That is the only way there can be a justice at the same footing.
I agree with you.
Yes. Now, for of course, how in our situation, what can be done? First of all, I would like to appeal to all Ugandans to create neighborhood watch groups. Yes. It can even be on your WhatsApp, so that at least 10 homesteads are in one group, 10 homesteads are in one group, so that you keep interacting. Even when you are just leaving work, you can post, I've left work, but I've left late. Please, I'm coming, I don't know. Should I have a problem? Be on the alert.
Okay, sir.
Number two, the police standards unit should be disbanded. Immediately, they are not doing anything. Not at all. Instead, there can be a creation of a police watchdog that is independent of police, that reports directly to the Internal Affairs Minister, so that they are able to watch.
Can we bring crime? Can we bring back crime preventers?
No, not now. The Museveni will think you want to remove him, so you have to leave.
No, they are under his command, really.
Maybe what I can appeal to the president is that it's time for us to seriously take politics from the LOC ones. Let those committees remain non-partisan, but also government should pay them.
They are paid 120,000 per year.
But what can that one do?
Unfortunately.
Let them pay them so that they are able to do real work that helps society.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's exactly 9 p.m. We come to the end of this particular conversation. Thank you so much for watching. That's from the time we started up to now. This video will be uploaded on YouTube. You can get time so that you can watch it without any buffering, without any network issue or any problem. So you will find us at the Hotline Show. That is on YouTube. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. On behalf of Digitalk TV, God bless you. God bless Uganda. See you tomorrow at exactly 8 a.m. We'll be here to talk about a lot of things that are happening in the country. Let's see you then.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.